Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. We are currently doing AI assisted DevOps series. We are at episode 8 and in this video we will learn how to develop an AI agent that can read internal documentation of the organization to respond back to the queries of the users. Let's understand the problem statement first. So every organization, whether it is a startup or MNC, has internal documentation. Why? Because every organization has set of processes to follow and also internal tools. Now, this information cannot be made public, so they develop internal docs. And when a newcomer joins the organization, they point the newcomers to this documentation. These days, large language models can actually help you with summarizing the concepts. For example, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to summarize Kubernetes, and it does it perfectly fine. However, this internal documentation cannot be uploaded to public large language models because this information can be confidential to your organization. Now, this is a problem for the newcomers or even for people within the organization because this documentation is usually hundreds of pages. Going through it once is fine, but revising the concepts through this documentation multiple times become difficult. Let's say you have a observability platform which is developed internally and assume it is called Veeramalla. Now, going through this Veeramalla tool multiple times becomes a problem. Rather, if someone can summarize this tool for you, it would be a very good option. So that is what we are going to do in today's video. So we will develop an agent in this video, which can read the internal documentation, which can be trained on the internal documentation using local large language models such as Llama 3. And when anyone asks questions or asks to summarize a particular topic, it can exactly do that for you. Rather than pointing to page numbers or just like your search button, rather than replying back with tens of documents, it will exactly explain what you are asking. So it's going to be very interesting. And if some of you feel it's going to be complicated, let me tell you, in 2025, it's actually not that difficult. You have frameworks that can do a lot of heavy lifting for you. You just have to modify few things. So just make sure you watch this video till the end. Towards the end of this video, you can also develop your AI agent. Let's get started. So as the first step, let's create a fake documentation. So if I take some PDF from online, large language models can actually respond to it because that information might be available with that LLMs. So what we will do rather is we will use a prompt to develop fake documentation of an observability tool. So first, I will provide the background to generate this fake document. I'm working on testing an AI agent that can read the internal documentation and respond to the queries of the users. In the prompt engineering lecture, I already explained to you. First, provide the context, then provide your question, then try to provide few examples. So this is called as few shot prompting. Now we will say to help with this, can you generate a fake documentation of an observability platform called Veeramalla, assume this platform is better than existing platform like Prometheus because it uses Victoria metrics instead of time series database. I'm just faking up all this information. Similarly, add more such fake information to the documentation in the PDF format. Make sure the PDF format is well readable and covers at least 1,000 lines with respective metrics, traces, and logs. Add comparisons as much as possible. Now, after this, in the few shot prompting, it's always good practice to provide some examples. For example, documentation should have topics like what is Veeramalla platform, why Veeramalla platform is best in the world of observability, comparisons Veeramalla with Prometheus. These are few examples that I'm talking about. Expecting the PDF format output in 1,000 lines. So whichever are the important things, it's worth repeating that information to the large language models. This is also another technique of prompt engineering. Okay, now let's see, or let's wait for it to generate this. And then I will ask you to provide a downloadable link to the PDF format. We will just keep it downloaded. So it is going to take time, quite obviously, because we are asking it to generate a fake document, which is not available in its knowledge base. So we just need to wait for it. Okay, so good that it already provided the PDF format or a file that is downloadable. So I'll just download this. Okay, Veeramalla observability platform documentation. So you can see here, what is Veeramalla platform? Why is it best in the world of observability? Comparison with Prometheus. Then it provided deep dive into metrics, monitoring, a lot of information, right? So it provided a 30-page documentation, as you can see here. So instead of writing this or downloading from internet, I just used prompt engineering. Okay, great. Now that we have this documentation and it is also downloaded on our machine, what are the next steps? So the next step is to build AI agent. And for that, what is the framework that we are going to use? So we will use an open source free framework, which is Crew AI. We learned about Crew AI in the last lecture, but I'll try to repeat it or provide some basic understanding. So there are multiple agentic frameworks today, such as Crew AI, AutoGen, LangGraph. However, Crew AI is very simple and beginner friendly. So in Crew AI, you have crews, which are multiple agents, which can interact with each other to perform the task autonomously. What does that mean? Let's say today, if you give a task to a human, So what human does, if the task is complicated, so human breaks this task into multiple small tasks and starts working on each small task or assigns colleagues to each small task and finally get it done. Crew AI works on the exact same principle. However, for today's video, we don't need multiple AI agents. It can be achieved with a single agent itself. So first we will start with downloading Crew AI or setting up Crew AI. You don't need anything specific, but you just need Python on your machine. So just verify the version of Python is between 3.10 and 3.13. In my case, it's 3.12. If you have a different version, please set up between 3.10 and 3.13. Otherwise, you will land into issues with Crew AI. Also, make sure you have Olama installed because we are going to use Olama provider instead of OpenAI. One, OpenAI is chargeable. Two, it's also not a secure approach for our example today. Great. First, let's create a directory. I will call it as docs agent. We will switch to this directory. And now, whenever you're working with a Python project, always make sure you set up virtual environment because it's quite common in Python. When you're working on multiple projects, you will land into dependency conflicts. So to create virtual environment, let's run Python 3 -m VNV and name of the virtual environment. You can make the virtual environment hidden folder because you are not going to push this virtual environment to the GitHub repository and you don't even want to go to that virtual environment. So make it hidden. So I'll just call it as AI sandbox. Let's source the virtual environment. Once it's created, source AI sandbox bin activate. So we have activated the virtual environment now. By default, no packages are installed in the virtual environment. You are in a complete isolated environment. Let's start with installing Crew AI. You don't even need to create an account with Crew AI for this. Just run pip3 install Crew AI. We learned all of these things in the previous video as well. However, it's worth repeating for newcomers. So it is going to download a lot of dependencies. So just be patient if it is taking time. Okay, it's almost done. I can see most of the things are cached because I already have them. And perfect. So now we have Crew AI. Once we have this, Crew AI provides a capability of creating skeleton for your project. What does that mean? Just like when you use Ansible or when you use Django. So what they do is they provide most of the code for you. Similarly, with Crew AI as well, when you run Crew AI, create crew followed by name of the agent. In our case, let's assume the name of the agent is docs agent. So when you run this command, it is going to set up most of the files and folders for you. Majority of the times, you just need to update those files. It is asking which LLM provider are you going to use? So we will use Olama. So let me select 6. And it's asking which large language model do you want to use so that it can create the Python project accordingly for you. So I will say 1 and that's it. So it created a lot of files and folders for us. I'm going to show you what are those files and folders and how do you modify them to implement our use case. For that, let me take Visual Studio Code. So this is the VS Code and docs agent. Perfect. So you have some important folders here. The first one is config. So in config, you define agents.yaml, which has all the agents that you want to use. It can be 2 agents, it can be 10 agents, it can be one single agent as well. By default, example that TrueAI provides has 2 agents. One is the researcher agent and another is the analyst agent. You just provide background. It's in YAML format. So you just provide a heading and you provide background to it or the backstory so that agent has the context. And in the task.yaml, you provide the task that it has to work on. That's all. Agents are ready enough. Of course, all this configuration is provided in main.py and crew.py. Here you just define them in the YAML format. This configuration is read in the main.py and crew.py. Main.py is merely initiation of the project. Actual code is in crew.py. So in crew.py, you can see we are reading the agent.yaml file. We are reading the task.yaml file. And this is the researcher agent and this is the reporting agent. Anyways, in our case, we don't even need such a complicated project because we just need one single agent for our video. If you want to know more about the structure of QAI, what exactly each file is doing, you can go through our previous video, that is day 7. Now, Abhishek, for today's video, should we start updating all of this information? Yeah, that is one thing which we can do. Other thing that we can also do is go to this repository called Crew AI examples, where they have bunch of examples for our use cases. So first, make sure if you have your use case in these examples, just take that example and modify the fields and complete your use case because it's very easy to do. We have something called MetaQuest knowledge in the repository. What does this MetaQuest knowledge do? It reads a PDF document which is with respect to MetaQuest. For those of you who don't know what is MetaQuest, it's a product from Meta. So this agent reads the PDF of MetaQuest and answers the questions to the users. And they also have the steps how to invoke this agent and how to modify the agent in case you want to modify it. Perfect. So instead of updating this folder, we will clone this repository and start updating this agent. As I mentioned, if you go to the SRC folder, you can see in the config, it just has one agent, right? I mentioned that in the theory part, we will just use one single agent in today's video. Great. So I will close this VS Code. Similarly, we can also delete AI sandbox, or we can just go back to the home directory and clone this repository. Okay, so I will switch to my home directory and clone this repository called Crew AI examples. Copy, git clone Crew AI examples. I'm still in the virtual environment. This is a point to note because I have already downloaded the dependencies within the virtual environment. Once we have this repository downloaded, we will go to the actual folder MetaQuest and we will replace our PDF file and also update the Python files. CD MetaQuest, first Crew AI and MetaQuest. Okay, in this folder, I will just open my VS Code. Open Crew AI followed by MetaQuest. Done. So first, this is the PDF document. We don't need this. So I will go to knowledge and get rid of the MetaQuest PDF document. What we need is our PDF, which is generated through ChatGPT, which is in the downloads folder. So I'll just say move downloads, Veeramalla observability platform documentation.pdf to this folder. Okay, ls-ltr, great. Same is with the VS Code as well. It's synced and we have this document file. Now we will go to the SRC folder. First, let's go to the config folder, my bad, and go to the agents.yaml. We will change MetaQuest expert to Veeramalla agent or Veeramalla tool expert. Even here, I'll just call it as Veeramalla tool expert. Provide the best possible answers to the questions about Veeramalla tool. You are a seasoned expert in the world of Veeramalla observability platform. You are known for ability to provide the best in case. Perfect. Rest all can be the same because the previous agent was also doing the similar job. It was going through PDF and answering the questions. Now, if you go to the task.yaml, answers question task, which is good. Answers the user's question with the most relevant information of the knowledge source. Perfect. Now, similarly, let's go to the main.py. Here, the question is hard coded. If you see, so in the main.py, input question is always how often should I take breaks when you're using MetaQuest. So I will just replace this question. I mean, instead of hard coding it, what I'll do is I will ask Copilot to update this with user input instead of hard coding the question. Of course, it's simple in Python. You just have to use input, open bracket, write the question, and just close the bracket. However, for beginners, I'm just trying to make it easy. That's it. So now the question is updated. Accept. So it says input, please enter your question, and the question is read within the input. Perfect. Then we are training the model using the train definition. So let's provide one question. When you are working at enterprise level, you should train on multiple questions. So you, instead of one single question here, just provide multiple questions. For the purpose of video, I will just say, what is Veeramalla tool? Okay. You don't have to train on all the questions. You just have to train on, questions where the model finds it difficult to answer. However, more you train the model, more accurate is the answer. Great. So that's one place. And also in the test, we can replace the same question. So there are different definitions. I already covered this in previous lecture, but just to repeat. So you have this run definition, which is taking your input. Then you have train to train your model with different use cases. You have this replay section and the test section. Within crew.py, you provide the PDF document source or the name of the PDF document. In our case, it's Veeramalla followed by, let's see the name, or right click, rename, just copy and paste. Okay, now it will read this PDF document and then it reads the agent configuration. Good. task configuration, no problem. Okay, here it's invoking this agent. We will just change the name to Veeramalla Tool Expert. Answer question task is same. That's it. Now I believe our job is done. Let's see by executing the project. Let's go back to our terminal. Make sure we are in the right folder. Okay, PWD. We still have the name as MetaQuest Knowledge. If you want, you can update it. Anyways, that doesn't matter. So first, what we will do, as suggested in the documentation, my bad, in the MetaQuest Knowledge. So if you go to the README file, first you need pip install UV. If you already have UV, you don't have to do it. You can directly run crew AI install. So crew AI install will get all the dependencies. Okay, so it says the name of the toml. Yeah, this is one bug with the project, which I already created a pull request. What we need to do here is go back to the Pi project toml and change this to meta underscore quest underscore knowledge. So I already created a pull request within their repository. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, this might be fixed as well. So let's rerun crew AI install. Yeah, so it downloads all the dependencies and it logs the dependencies. Now we will run crew AI run. Okay, it should ask the question. It should prompt, what is your question? At this point of time, if you're using maybe a CPU architecture machine, it might take time in responding back. I have a GPU architecture machine, so please enter your question. What is Veeramalla tool? We'll ask more questions to it, but let's start with the basic. Let's see if it can answer. Okay, there is some issue. It says Veeramalla tool expert key error. We might have messed at some point. I'll try to see. Okay, I think, so here within the agents task.yaml, at this point, it should be, I mean, because we are just modifying, I missed to update. I wrongly updated this with Veeramalla task expert. Let's try it now. If I run crew AI, let's see by asking the same question. What is Veeramalla tool? Okay, this time it's good. So it actually failed with OpenAI key. That's not a big deal. So by default, this project uses OpenAI keys. I mean, by default, crew AI use OpenAI. So what we are going to do is we will create a file called venv, sorry, a file called .env, and within the .env, we will just specify what should be the name of the large language model that we're going to use, and also what is the URL to access Olama. So model is Olama Llama 3.1, and this is the API. If you don't have Llama 3.1 on your local, just run Olama pull Llama 3.1. Okay, now let's do the final test. Crew AI run. What is Veeramalla tool? Okay, so it read the question and it says answer this question. So it is working on the task. Perfect. So it says Veeramalla tool, also known as Veeramalla Observability Platform, is a comprehensive tool designed to provide deep visibility into software systems. And it also talks about unified visibility, real-time analytics, root cause analysis, which it is summarizing from the document or the PDF that we have. Now let's ask it another question. So this time I will ask, what are the main things about Veeramalla tool? Okay, or let's ask, how is Veeramalla platform compared to Prometheus, and see how it responds back. Okay, now we have detailed comparison with Prometheus. So this is the final answer. Both are monitoring systems in the cloud native environment. However, there are key differences. When it comes to Veeramalla platform, it says this is the architecture of Prometheus, and Veeramalla platform has the following benefits. So it summarized a lot of things from the document, which is 1,000 pages. Similarly, you can ask it any question. Of course, there will be some hallucination from the model as you keep asking it question, and as you keep training it with various examples within the crew.py. So here we just trained it with one example, that is what is Veeramalla tool. For basic questions, it does not need a lot of training, but for advanced questions, yeah, it is better to train the model so that you get the accurate output. So this way you can play with agentic frameworks and you can develop agents that can read the internal documentation and respond back to the users. So you can go back, try out this agent and try this setup within your organization, provide it more amount of documentation, spend some time and develop this tool for your org. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If it is useful and if it makes sense, please comment on the video and share it with your friends. See you all in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.